Okay, so we're continuing in our review. The review, who does not have the review sheet? Who does not have the review sheet? Whoever was not here last time does not have it. You were here, hopefully you have it. Everyone has it? Yeah, you have it? Okay, so we are up to now. So we're up to 8. We're up to 8. If someone has it? All right? Yeah? Someone has matzo balls in the soup and he only desires the soup. Is he permitted to pour out the soup, leaving behind the matzo balls? Is that a question? You're pouring out the soup. You want the soup, so you're pouring out the soup. In your hand, you're left with the matzo balls. You're left with the matzo balls which you don't want. Are you allowed to do that? You're left in your hand with what you don't want. Is that permitted? If you know the answer, please speak up.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
You are allowed. Why?
Because you're holding it in your hand, so it's like that one item.
Because it's a big item.
You're holding in your hand what you don't want. Right? You're only left with the matzo balls which you don't want. You're pouring out the soup. You only want the soup. You're left with the matzo balls which you don't want. So now you have what you don't want. So what would you say about that? It's not allowed, right? You following me? So I know it's a little confusing. You're pouring out the soup, yeah? You're pouring out the soup and you're left with the matzo balls. So you're left with what you don't want because you want the soup. So we said whatever's in your hand is what you are actually separating. So now you're left with the matzo balls which you don't want. So seemingly, you would say it's not allowed, right?
It's still an item.
What?
It's still one item.
You did what you don't want. So usually, if you take what you don't want, that's separating. But over here, because it's not considered a mixture, because it's a large item, we said large items mixed with liquid is not considered a mixture. Because separating is only when it's perceived as a mixture. You get what I'm saying? Now, that should not be confused with large and small. So let's say if you have plums and strawberries. Plums are large, strawberries are small, and they're mixed together. That's, over there you do have the issue of separating. Now, Taneva says it's not clear, it's not definite that it's considered separating. But Taneva says it should be strict, because it may be considered separating. In other words, the fact that it's big and small, that could mean that it's not considered separating because you notice the big items. It's very noticeable, the big items out of the small items. So when something is very extremely noticeable, there's reason to say that it's not considered separating, it's not considered a mixture, because it sticks out, big and small. But Alter Rebbe says, nevertheless, we should be strict because that still may be considered separating. But that's solid and solids. That's like peaches and strawberries, let's say. Strawberries and blueberries, big and small. But solid and liquid, when it's a big item sitting inside liquid, that is not considered a mixture. So it's not considered separating. Is that clear? Hope it is. If not, please speak up, because I don't know what's doing in your mind. 9. Is one allowed to peel garlic on Shabbos? Anyone remembers about peeling garlic on Shabbos? Anyone?
You can.
Huh?
You can.
In what way could you peel garlic on Shabbos?
Should do.
That's
But you can.
maybe it's on. Huh? Anyone? You don't have to be afraid to answer. You're not going to get points off if you get it wrong.
But Baba, we can use the garlic by himself.
Huh?
We can use the garlic by himself. We need to cook, so.
No, you can put it in salad. Yeah.
Really?
I do that every Shabbos.
Okay.
You can eat the garlic by itself. You can put it into salad. Therefore,
There is a.
I'm not sure what you're trying to bring up. What's.
She thought like garlic was like potatoes that you need to cook because she doesn't eat raw garlic.
In Brazil, it doesn't, so.
No, garlic you could use for salads, right? But are you allowed, anyone knows you're allowed to peel garlic?
Yeah.
Let's say someone else. Where, in what way are you allowed to peel garlic in Shabbos? No? Right before you use it. If you're going to be preparing a salad now, and you're eating now, any separating, if you're going to be eating it now, is generally speaking, is okay. But with garlic, there is one exception, that is the outer leaf, the outer cover of the garlic. The outer cover of the garlic, that, according to some opinions, the Pri Megadim says, you should not do it in Shabbos at all. Because he says that could go into the category of a different Malacca, which we discussed in a previous class. If you remember, methodic, extracting, squeezing, one thing contained inside the other, extracting one from the other. He says that the garlic could go into that category. He said it's questionable. So he says the outer layer of the garlic you shouldn't peel on Shabbos at all.
Oh.
Yeah, 10. 10. If someone is served, you ready for 10? If someone is served a bowl of soup with rice, is he permitted to remove the rice in order to eat it with the chicken later in the meal? He's taking out the rice. He doesn't want to eat the rice now. He wants to eat the rice later together with the chicken. Very interesting person, right? He wants to take out the rice from the soup because he doesn't want to eat the rice now. He wants to eat the rice later in the meal together with the chicken, right? So are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to do it? It's a yes or no. It's not no whole explanation, just say yes or no. Are you allowed? What would you guess? If you'd have to guess, what would you say?
Yes.
You would all say yes. Yes is correct. Why? Why is it correct? When you separate it, why are you allowed?
Because it's the time of the meal.
Because before the time of meal. Before, during, it's for this meal. Anything that's for this meal, you want to separate. You get it? I think it's important because I don't see everyone is, it's not going as smooth as I thought it is. So maybe I just give again just a general statement about bladed. Bladed on Shabbos. You have two different items. First, does everyone understand English here properly? Yeah? Yeah, everyone understands English. Okay, so make sure that I'm showing it. There's a Malacca bladed separating. You can't separate on Shabbos. Everyone knows that you can't separate on Shabbos, right? What is the criteria of the Malacca? If it's with two different items and it's mixed together and you know how to separate it. It has to be mixed together, two different items. But you're allowed to separate it if you're going to be using it right away. If you're going to be eating it right away, using it right away, then you're allowed to separate it. But that's not all the time. That's generally speaking. There are exceptions to that rule too. What is an exception that you're not allowed to separate even if you're going to eat right away? Anyone remembers what's an exception that you can't do it even if you're going to eat right away? Anyone? Where's an exception? I said if you could separate, but you eat it right away before the meal. When are you not allowed to do that? Anyone? Is there a situation where you're separating and we're saying you're not allowed to do it? I'm eating it now. I'm separate. What's the problem? I'm eating it now. No, you're not allowed. When is that? Remember this, we discussed the difference of you taking good from bad, bad from good, good from bad, bad from good. There's a difference, right? So we have a situation where you're separating. I'm eating it right now. I'm eating. What do you want from my life? No, you're not allowed to do it. It's separating, but I'm eating it. You're not allowed to separate. What is the example for that? Anyone? If you're eating watermelon and you don't like the watermelon seeds, so you want to push out the watermelon seeds before you eat the watermelon. You're allowed to do that? No, but I'm eating it now. You're not allowed because you're taking bad from good, right? When you take bad from good, you're not allowed to do it, even if you're eating now. There's this situation where you can take bad from good if you eat, even though if you're eating now, you could separate even bad from good. Is there such a situation where you can take bad from good because you're eating now? When is that? Is separating. You take the bad. I know that you know the answer. So I want to hear something. But a situation that you're allowed to take bad from good because you're eating now, but you take bad from good. It's okay because you're eating now. What's an example of that? Very good, an egg. What else? It's right in front of your eyes. What? It's right in front of the eyes of those who are on this table.
Orange.
An orange. You just have to open your eyes. Right? Why? You're not allowed to take bad from good. Can I take the watermelon seeds out of my watermelon I'm eating now? No. Right? I'm not allowed. I'm eating it now. No. Can I peel the orange I'm eating now? Yes. What's the difference? Why one is not, one is yes? What's the reason? Yeah. What? That's how you eat it. That's the derech achilah. It's the way of eating, but this is the normal way of eating. Then we allow you to do it because it's not called a malacha, because it's called the way of eating. Eating is not a malacha. When you eat, you take good for bad. Or in the case of an orange, how do you eat an orange? The way you eat orange, you have to peel it. So now it's like taking good from bad. So you're allowed. Get it? But the watermelon, yeah, people many times will take out the seeds, but that's not the way of eating. Because watermelon, you could get to the watermelon without taking out the seeds. So it's not the way of eating. Watermelon, many people put it to your mouth, you spit out the seeds. Some people don't like doing it, I mean, we get that. But the point is, watermelon, we cannot say on watermelon, that's the way of eating. No. By tangerine, orange, you can't get to the orange if you don't peel it. So that's considered, yeah, this is the way of eating a tangerine, you peel it. If you don't peel it, you can't get to it. It's just not happening. So this is how you eat it. So it becomes derech achilah, the way of eating. There's something else I didn't mark down so much. That is, if you are you allowed to separate? Let's say you don't like the rice in your soup. It's ricey soup, you want to take out all the rice, you don't like it. And you're going to give it to your friend who likes it. Your friend, then she likes it. Yeah, I want it. I'll give it to you. Are you allowed to do that? You don't like it, she likes it. Is it good or bad? Are you allowed to do that? If you would have to guess that, if you would have to make up the answer, let's say you would have to make it up, what would you say? How would you think it go? Yes or no?
No.
No?
No.
You say no, because for you it's not good.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. I understand why you're saying that. Anyone else wants to try?
It's machloket.
This is the safest answer. So the answer actually is that you're actually allowed. Why? Because being it for the other person, it's eichel, it's food, it's good, you're allowed to separate. It's like you prepare before the meal, you're allowed to prepare for the meal. Whatever's necessary. It has to be, you're gonna eat from that. You're making a vegetable salad, you're separating over there. I don't eat vegetable salad, let's say. Bring a vegetable salad to everyone else. That's okay. I'm preparing it for people who are going to eat. So no, I don't like it, but I'm separating it to give to someone who wants to eat it. So being the other person wants to eat it, it's eichel, there's no problem. You're allowed to separate. Okay, let's get back to the sheet here. 11, I think it's getting easier now. 11. You have 11? Someone has a bowl of cashews that contains some broken pieces. Yeah? Is he permitted to remove the broken pieces in order to throw them away? Now, I'm not discussing the halacha about tashkis. We're not saying you're allowed to throw it away, wasting food. We know that. So we're giving a situation. This is what the person is doing. He's taking out the broken pieces. It's broken pieces. He's going to throw it away. Okay, so we're not discussing that you're allowed to. We're not discussing about tash. We're discussing the halacha bayit. You're allowed to take out the broken pieces. You don't want it. You're throwing it to the garbage. You know, it doesn't look nice on the table. Like a party, it doesn't look nice. So you're taking out the pieces that you don't want. Is that considered separating? Are you allowed to do that on Shabbos? Okay, so let's say, to make it more practical, you're not throwing it to the garbage, okay? I should really edit the question. You're not throwing it to the garbage because it's a question about tashkis, you're not going to waste food. You're putting it into a bag, whatever, you're putting it away somewhere. Are you allowed to do this on Shabbos? Anyone? What?
No.
You're not allowed? Why?
Because it's before after, it could be for after Shabbos.
Because preparing for the Shabbos? The intention is not to prepare, the intention is to separate when you don't want. So you're not actually preparing for the Shabbos.
Bad, it's
You're taking out the bad ones. Okay, again, they're the same taste, same quality, it's just it's broken. It's broken pieces. So you don't like it there. So you take it out because you don't want it there. So
eat it, then you can't, you're eating it.
you're saying no. Okay, so now you remember the rule of what's the criteria for the Malacca Vader? When is Vader prohibited? It must be considered two different items mixed together. So let's remember that. It has to be two different items mixed together. Do we have two different items here? It's one item. So the cashews is all one item, even though some are broken, but it's one item. It's all the same item. So it's not considered separating. There's no prohibition of separating because it's all the same thing. It's all the same. It's all cashews, just a different size. The size is different, but it's the same thing. Yeah, and we get that? Yeah? Yeah? Well, is one permitted to pour from a pitcher that contains tea leaves? It's a little tricky, what am I referring to, but that's what I want to hear. You have a pitcher that has tea leaves in it. People don't do it these days, have tea bags, tea leaves. We had it last time on the, she's saying it in Hebrew, she's not here.
She's here.
Oh, She's the one who sits here.
Yeah.
I'm still not, it takes me time with names till I get it.
Rotem.
Okay. So you don't have this leaf, maybe you have tea bags. Not talking about tea bags, just the leaves. So it's running out. And it's same with soup. You're pouring out soup from the pot, and there's the pieces, and you're trying to make sure the pieces don't fall out, the pieces stay in, the pieces stay out. Is this separating? Is this considered separating? It's not separating. Why?
It's like the soup and the rice, no? It's like the soup and the rice and you find the soup.
So then it is separating. It's two separate things. It should be.
No, not if you're using
Right, but you are separate. If you take what you want, it's okay. You take what you right. You take what you desire, it's okay. But you are actually separating. Just take what you want, it's fine. And when is it not considered separating at all? It's a little tricky. I'm not going to get what I'm saying, so I have to explain it. You have the pieces could be on the bottom. The top could be just liquid. So if I'm pouring, and in the beginning when you're pouring, it's just liquid. There's nothing mixing. The mixing is only on the bottom. There's no problem pouring out of the top because there's nothing mixed together. Get it? So there's no issue. I'm going to say 1 second, you're separating the liquid from the pieces. But now I'm pouring liquid, there's only liquid coming. So I'm not separating. The separation starts when it comes to the point where the pieces are starting to want to fall out, then you start playing around with the pot, to make sure the pieces don't fall out or do fall out, whatever, whichever way you want it. Now you are separating.
Wait, Rabbi, so we can do or no?
What I'm saying is, there's no malacha, there's no separating until it starts being mixed together. Only when it's mixed together, it's considered separating. Before it mixes, there's no separation. It's not mixed. So I'm just pouring liquid, and at the bottom, over here, there's a bunch of pieces. But right over here, I'm pouring, it's just straight liquid. There's no pieces mixed into it. You get what I'm saying? No.
Sorry.
It's an example. Oh, did you ever cook spaghetti, noodles, and then afterwards you have to pour water on it, and then you want to pour the water out of it? You want to make sure the noodles don't fall out. All the noodles fall to the sink. You're not careful. The beginning, when you're pouring out the water, it's only water. There's no noodles there. You don't have to be afraid. After some point, when you pour out a lot of liquid, and all of a sudden now the noodles are going to start falling out if you're not going to be careful and maneuver the pot in a way that it shouldn't fall out. So the first stream where the noodles is all the way on the bottom and you're pouring out liquid, there's no malach of separating it because that liquid, there's nothing mixed into it. You're just pouring liquid out of a pitcher that's not separating. That's what I'm trying to bring out. There's nothing happening over there. 13. Is one permitted to sort different size spoons? Teaspoons, soup spoons, they're all mixed together. You want to separate it. The teaspoons and the soup spoons, just separate it and put it away. Is that considered by separating a Shabbos?
Yes.
Yes.
That is braided, sure. And if you're going to, so could you set the table before you go to show? If all the cutlery is mixed together, you want to separate the cutlery and set the table before Shabbos, before you go to show.
No.
Is that okay?
No.
Is one permitted, 14, is one permitted to rinse fruit that became dirty? Fruit fell on the floor, got all dirty, and you want to rinse it. There's dirt stuck to it. You want to rinse it off. Is that considered separating on Shabbos? Is it just like, if I would take this apple now, this pear, and rinse it on Shabbos, is there any restriction behind it? So I can only rinse it if I'm going to be eating it soon. Why am I rinsing it? Well, people rinse the fruits because you don't know who touched it, and whatever, that's what people do. Am I allowed to rinse it on Shabbos? Is this considered separating, that I'm only allowed to rinse it if I have some condition that I'm going to eat it right away? Or I could just rinse the fruits. I'm rinsing it before I go to show, just rinse it and then put it away. The fruits will be ready. Understand the question? I have a bunch of fruits. I take out of the refrigerator Shabbos morning. I want to go to show. I want to prepare to put the fruits on the table. I'm just going to rinse it, put it on the table before I go to show. Is that okay? No?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Who knows? What? Why is it not okay?
You're not, it's not gonna be used for preparing for after Shabbos.
Okay.
You're just rinsing it because it's dirty and you're not.
No, okay. So let's clarify it. They're not dirty. Okay, I'm not talking about, there's two cases. I started talking about a case where the fruit became dirty, fell on the floor, there's mud in it, there's dirt in it. Now I'm discussing a case where the fruit is not dirty. It's fruit. Fruit out of the refrigerator. It's clean. People rinse it because that's what makes sense to do. You don't know who touched it till now, who handled it, so people rinse it, people wash it. It's the right thing to do. Now, saying you want to rinse it before you go to show. You're saying no, why? Because you're separating.
What is separating them? If it looks clean, like,
It looks clean.
so what are you separating?
That's what I want to bring up.
Microscopic germs, but
You're not to prepare, you're preparing for Shabbos morning. It's Shabbos morning preparing for Shabbos day meal. No
But you're
problem.
not supposed to do it until right before the meal. Right.
That's only if you're doing the malach of separating, but you're not separating here. There's no actual dirt stuck to the fruit. There's no actual dirt stuck to the fruit. That's what I want you to understand. Reason why you can't do it before you go to show, that's if you're actually doing bladed, you're actually separating. So there's nothing stuck to it. It's clean. Yes, you rinse it. Yeah, that's what you should do. You should rinse it. Yeah. That's what you should do, to rinse it, but you're not actually separating anything. Yeah? But when it's dirty, you understand? There's no problem. But when it's dirty and then you're rinsing it, then you can't do it before you go to show, only it's before the time to meal. Rinsing something because that's what people do because of germs, whatever, then it's not called separating. Because there's no actual dirt. So you're rinsing it because you're rinsing it. Everyone get what I'm saying? Yeah? Okay. So, let's see, anything else important to discuss here? Want to peel an apple? Peeling an apple Shabbos is okay? The peeler? Use a peeler on Shabbos to peel an apple. Yes or no? Yes. What's if you're not going to be eating it now? You're going to be eating it in 3 hours from now. You're allowed to peel it?
yeah.
Because the only apple the same.
Very good. You're allowed to peel the apple because you're not separating. Because most people eat the peel. So therefore the peel and the apple is one thing. It's not two separate things. So you're even allowed to use a peeler because if you're not separating, you could use a designated utensil. Are you allowed to use a slotted spoon to serve sliced, to serve nuts or to serve something dry without any liquid? You know the soup, the spoons that have slots in it for the salad? But you want to use it for dry things. There's no liquid in it. I'm just think of a good example to serve maybe a
Cake.
piece of cake or fish or sliced fruits without liquid. You're not draining, you're not straining anything. You're not to use that on Shabbos.
Yeah, because it's
Huh?
not, I think so.
Yeah, everyone get that? Yes? Yeah, understand?
But depends of the,
Hmm?
depends what fish it is, because if you take salmon, for example, you can't,
Why?
because
Is liquid?
it's not
Okay.
liquid, but we have a little bit, so.
Okay, that's I'm using something dry to be safe. If this is liquid, then and your intention is to separate. Yeah. Anything with liquid where you're draining liquid that you don't want, then it's an issue. Yes. Okay. Any other questions about braided? I'm going to start the next Malacca. At least we'll start it today. Okay. So the next Malacca after braided is teves. Teves is grinding. So, teves. Here's on the board, look at the board, teves. Yeah, garbage can. This will end up in garbage. Let's see. Wow. The teves is grinding. So in every Malacca that we have, the Shabbos comes from the building of the Mishkan. In the Mishkan, they had the Malacca of teves, grinding, because when we have teves, the building of the Mishkan, okay, they would grind the herbs. It seems they would grind the herbs, and it seems they would like boil it in water, become like a paste. But they would have to grind the herbs for the process of getting the dye. They would have to grind it. And even though now, if you are taking, let's say, a vegetable and slicing it very, very thin, you're not actually grinding it, you're just cutting it very thin. But anything that's similar to what was done in the Mishkan, you're not allowed to do. We know that from Malacca Sinai, that not only what was specifically done in the Mishkan, that exact style, anything similar is also awesome. So in the Mishkan, they did grinding, they would grind herbs. But even if you're not grinding the herbs, but you are just slicing it very, very thin pieces, that's also considered grinding, because it's the same idea. You take one piece and cutting it into very, very small pieces. So if you go on Shabbos and take a cucumber and cut it very, very thin, you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos. We're going to learn later that there is a leniency in certain situations. We'll get to it. Here's my okay. Now, what is the Malacca mainly applies to things that come from the ground. That's what it mainly applies to. So to start with, when we talk about the Malacca of grinding, that is for things that come from the ground. Things that don't come from the ground, the Malacca generally does not apply to that. Why? Because it's only prohibited when it's similar to the way it was done in the Mishkan. In the Mishkan, what were they grinding? The herbs were growing. So things that don't grow, for example, let's say you're going to take a piece of fish a piece of meat, you cut it very, very thin, thin.
Or eggs.
Eggs, very good. Take eggs and cut it very, very thin. Eggs don't grow. They don't grow from the ground. When they grow, they don't grow from the ground. So you're allowed to cut eggs very thin. You're allowed to cut fish, but to take a vegetable, a fruit, and cut it very, very thin, that is also that you're not allowed to do. There is a leniency when it comes to grinding. Chacham told us that if you do it in a highly unusual way, then you're allowed to do it. Now, this is an exception to the general rule of Shabbos. Generally, when it comes to Shabbos, we don't say, okay, if you do it in a highly unusual way, we're going to allow you to carry. So we're going to allow you on Shabbos to carry. If you put it on your head and you walk outside, and you have to really balance it the way you're walking, and you don't carry it like that, oh, you're going to allow you to carry on Shabbos. We don't say it. There are some exceptions. This is one of the exceptions. If you're grinding in a highly unusual way, they were lenient. And they said, what's a highly unusual way? You take the handle of a fork, the back of a knife. Why is this a highly unusual way? Because usually when you don't grind with a knife. The knife is also a way of grinding. People don't say, I'm going to grind some, the knife is not by nature called a knife for grinding, right? Okay, I'm going to grind with my knife, But a knife you can also grind with. If you cut very thin, you are grinding. So, but how do people usually grind? People usually grind with a grinder, not with a knife. The knife is not something that's really meant for grinding. So therefore, if someone would be cutting something very thin with a knife, that's not really a regular way of grinding, right? Knives are not meant for grinding. What I'm trying to bring out? I'm trying to bring out why on Shabbos you're allowed to grind in a highly unusual way. What makes it? So I said, what's highly unusual? To use what? The back of a knife, the back of a fork. That's a highly unusual way, and now you're allowed to do it. Why? Why are you allowed to do it? Why is it highly unusual? Because it's 2 steps away from the regular way of grinding. How do you usually grind? Usually you grind with a knife? No, don't grind with a knife. A grinder, whatever, those days also didn't have an electric grinder. They had something that's meant for grinding, not a knife. So now you're not using the grinder. You're not using the grinder, you're using a knife. And not only using a knife, you're using the handle, the back of a knife. Now this becomes an extremely unusual way. Chacham says it's called a shinui gadol. This is a tremendous shinui, a really unusual way, and we are going to allow you to do this on Shabbos. So here you go. So if you want to cut your cucumbers on Shabbos, you just take the back of a knife, back of a fork, and have fun with it. Okay. No, but really, how do you cut practically? How do you cut vegetables on Shabbos? The way to really do it is, if you're doing it with a knife, which you cannot cut very thin, you need to make sure. Am I following? The way to cut vegetables on Shabbos with a knife is not very thin. You're going to make it a little wider than what you usually do. Whatever you usually do, make it slightly wider. It shouldn't be so thick. It shouldn't be so thin. I mean. Make it a little wider, thicker. Another thing, what you want to do is you want to make sure to do it before the meal. Don't do it before you go to shul. Because if you do it when you come back from shul, then there is a leniency. There is an opinion that says that you're allowed to cut very thin right before the time of the meal. Just like by separating, you could do it before the meal. So there's an opinion that says that grinding is the same thing. If you do it right before the time of the meal, then it's okay. Now, this is an opinion that is not accepted by everyone.
We do.
What? It's not accepted by everyone. Everyone accepts this opinion. But it's an added layer of insurance over here. It means in case you end up doing it, you might be doing it too thin. So if you're doing it close to the meal, you have, you're safe according to one opinion that says, oh, you're doing it right before the meal. It's okay to do it thin. So that's why it's a good idea to do it right before the meal, not before you go to show. You do it before the meal, then even in case you end up doing it too thin, there's an opinion that says it's okay. Now, practically speaking, when you're cutting a vegetable very thin, before you're cutting it thin, you're also separating. Most vegetables you're involved in the malacca of separating. So separating for sure you can't do before you go to shul. So practically speaking, you make a vegetable salad. You want to do it after you come back from shul, not before, because before, what are you going to do? You cut a tomato, you're separating. Most vegetables, a pepper, you're separating. So you can't open it up before you go to shul anyways. Now the issue is cutting it up. Okay, so cutting it up, if it's already separated, halachically, you could cut it before you go to shul if you make it into larger pieces. Okay, but anyways, you can't, to open it up is anyway separating, which you can't do before you go to shul. So anyways, can't cut it open before shul. Tomatoes for sure, you can't. Pepper, you can't. The only thing is maybe a cucumber.
Tomato, you can't cut it before.
Tomato, there's the black part that you have to take out. You don't eat the whole tomato. So if you're cutting up a tomato, you are separating. You're doing baited. And that's not allowed before you go to shul. You're gonna have to wait till you come back to shul to do it.
So I'll leave that part in the bowl, and when I come back, take it out. With good, and then keep it in the back.
I'm not getting what you're saying. You're saying you want to do.
Can you take good together with the black piece?
Oh, so you're saying, okay,
And then
very
you put
good.
the
Okay,
good
I hear what you're saying. I think what you're saying is, I'll cut up the tomato. Cutting it up in a way this is a very important point here, because I don't know if we stressed it enough in separating. But that is, when you cut a tomato, you don't just cut off the black piece, you cut off a part of the tomato with it. So now you're not separating, because you're cutting with it. Now you didn't divide it. Very good point. It means if you want to cut a tomato before shul, when you cut a tomato, don't just think of the black part. Think a little more, but it should be something significant, not just significant. A little more of the tomato. Now you're taking good with the bad. Very good. And now, cutting up the tomato, you can't cut it very thin. You have to make it a little thicker. Okay, then you'll be allowed to do it. Right. Okay, class is over. Shabbos, everyone.
What? Yes, in 10 minutes.